Today I'm going to show you how to use Apple Keynote as a cheap replacement for doing simple animated effects that could normally be taken care of in After Effects, but some people can't afford After Effects, and I found Apple Keynote to make things a little easier. This tutorial will be kind of intermediate in skill level. You need to have a basic understanding of Apple Keynote, Adobe Photoshop, and Adobe Premiere Pro. So here we go. Our goal for this video is to go from a static Photoshop file with several layers to an animated version of that Photoshop file in Adobe Premiere Pro using Apple Keynote. Once you've opened up the file in Adobe Photoshop, you see I have my file here and I have the different elements in separate layers along the side. What you want to do is choose what elements you want to be animated separately. I'm going to keep this pretty simple, so I'm going to have the gray blotch animated separately, something animated separately, grader with the two arrows animated separately, and this vector floral thing in the back, as well as this snowflake. What I want to do, my first step, is to rasterize each layer together. You see most of these have several elements within that they use to get the effect here. All I would do here is click on each of these folders, and then I'm going to click Command E on a Mac. It's probably Control E on a PC. And now you see this is flattened into one layer. If I hide that layer, it hides all the blotches. I'll do the same thing for the something, Command E, and now the clipping mask is gone and I'm just left with that. I'll do the same for grader and the same for vector. So now I have the flake and ring, gray blotch, something, grader, and vector. What you need to do now is export each of these individual layers as transparent PNG files. And here's how you do it. It's pretty simple. Hide everything, including the background. You want to make sure you see this checkered background, and then bring a layer to visibility. After that, easiest thing to do is just select the area, get your entire layer, do image, crop, and then you're going to go File, Save As for Web, and make sure PNG-24 and transparency is selected. At that point you can save. I'll save it to my desktop. I find that's the easiest. Save it as floral, and then rinse and repeat. So go back. Now I'm going to do the same thing with grader. Select that, crop it, save as for web, PNG-24, transparency, grader. You want to do this for each element of your composition. So let me just do this really quick and I'll come right back. At this point I have my 5 elements. I have the flake, the floral, grader, gray, and something. The 5 layers that I have in Photoshop, I have them here on my desktop now. I can now at this point close out of Photoshop. I don't need to save any changes or anything, and I can open up Apple Keynote. You want to create a new project, and depending on the size of your video, whether it's 1080p or 720p, you will choose your slide size. My video is going to be 720p, so I'm going to up here just selecting the black one, slide size 1280 by 720, and I'm going to click choose. Keynote will automatically bring this up. I like to change this to 75 or 50%, so I have a little extra space here on the side. It comes in handy. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the files that I just exported from Photoshop, and I'm going to drag them into Keynote. Alright, there we go. So obviously this doesn't really look like much yet. So you're going to need to spend some time arranging the files to look like what your Photoshop file looked like. First off, I'll just drag stuff and minimize stuff. There's two things you'll need to know how to do. One would be to resize stuff. The way you do that is you click on it and you see this bounding box that comes up around it. You're going to go into one of the corners, hold down Shift, and then click and drag. This is just good because it doesn't distort the image, it shrinks it on a uniform scale, so you can shrink it or expand it and it won't smush in or anything like that. So I'm going to shrink this just a little more. This was on the left side of my composition. This was on top of it, so I'll just bring that over there. Greater was somewhere like this, but it was a lot smaller, so I'm going to shrink that down a little bit. Something was also over here, but it was also a little smaller, so I will shrink that down. I think my flakes also a little smaller, so holding Shift, I'm going to drag, make it a little smaller. And finally, this floral pattern was also a little smaller, so I'm going to make sure that that fits a little better. One thing you'll notice is this floral design is actually on top of something in Greater. We don't want it to be that. So once we have got the stuff in the approximate location that it's going to be for the final composition, we want to start changing it to be in the correct spot as far as layers go. Keynote doesn't have a well-defined layer style like Photoshop where there's visual layers, so you just kind of have to go back and forth guessing. What I know is I want this floral design to be behind something greater, so I can either right-click and keep clicking send backward, right-click, send backward, or I realize this is kind of okay to just be all the way in the back, so I can click send to back. And now you see something and greater are in front of it. This honestly is good enough for our purposes as far as looking similar to the Photoshop file. So I'm just going to center this in the screen. I like how Keynote just kind of locks it in there. And now we're going to get to animating. Animating is really simple in Keynote. That's why I like using it. And if you can't afford Adobe After Effects to do some of these even simple animations, Keynote's a good way to take care of something like this. The quickest way I found to do this is just to hit Command A. That will select everything. Go up to Inspector, and you're going to go to your Layer Animation Build Inspector. And just choose any effect. It doesn't really matter. The only reason you're doing this is because this now, if you click on more options, shows you all the different layers that you have. It shows you what order they're going to go through, and you can now start changing stuff. I want the gray to come in first, so I'm going to bring gray up to the top. You notice gray came up first. I want the flake to follow behind that. From that point, I want the floral to start coming out, and then I want something in greater to come in. One general rule when working with Keynote, if you have text in your document, unless it's like this and it is stylized and you want to just use Keynote's built-in text box and all that, because you can do different stuff with the text than you can rasterize images. So I'm going to create a quick text box, change it to Honey Badger because Honey Badger don't care, and I like that font. So I'll just put that over there, and again I'll just add dissolve. It doesn't matter what effect is there, just make sure you have stuff in the order that you want it to go. So what I want to happen, I want this gray blotch to kind of pop in. I want the flake to follow quickly after that. I want the floral design to wipe from left to right, and then something to come in from the left, grader to come in from the right, and then a winter camp to typewriter in. So now that I have everything set in the correct order, I'm going to go and change my effects. So click on gray, I change the effect to pop. I like how pop looks. Now that's a little slow for me, so I'm going to change the duration so it just pops in really quick. Now we can go to the flake. I want the same kind of thing. I want the flake to pop forward, so I will change the duration for that too, so it's also a little quicker. Floral, again, I want it to wipe from left to right, so I'm just going to turn on wipe. It defaults left to right. You can also use any of these, but I want left to right, so that works out perfectly. Something I would like to have move in from the left. Grader I would like to have move in but from the right. In winter camp I would like to kind of do a little typewriter thing. I'm going to go back through and make some of these go a little quicker, so boom, and boom, and boom. So currently, as is, these are all set to on click, so the animation doesn't go until we click it. We want to have a little more control than that. We want to have it set to automatically go. So what we're going to do is click on a given layer. The first layer should just always be automatically after transition. If you want the flake to come after it, then you would select automatically after build 1. If you want it to come along with it, you would do automatically with. So at that point the flake and the blotch come in at the same time. So I'll do that. I think that looks pretty nice. And then after that happens, instead of with, I want the floral to start wiping. I want something to come in as the floral's wiping, so what I should do then is do with. But if you notice, that went a little quick, so I'm going to put a little delay on there. So though it's starting with, it has a 0.5 second delay. And I'm going to do the same thing for grader. I will do it with the floral, and now it comes in pretty nice where it all seems to converge at one time. Finally, I will just do this after, and you see in the preview window over here kind of what it looks like. If you want to get more of an idea, you can go up here, click the play button, and you see everything comes in. It's quick, it's smooth, it looks nice. We have a good composition here. If you want to add some more bells and whistles, one thing that I think looks good with the flake, since it's circular, you can add an action to it and you can make it rotate. You can change the rotation to whatever you want. I'll change it to 2500 degrees, and I'll change the rotation length to about 35 seconds. That'll give a nice slow rotation. I want to turn off easing, so turn that off, and I got to move that up here so right when the flake starts, it automatically starts spinning. But one thing you'll notice is the floral does not come in now because it's set to go after build 3. It's set to go after this rotation, which means you'd be waiting for about 30 seconds in order for this floral thing to start. So now you want to change this setting from after to with. So as it pops in and starts rotating, then the floral comes out and something in grader and all that come in. So let's see what that looks like full screen. Alright, so we got a nice looking composition, something that is better than just a static image. It has motion. Let's export this. So to export it in Keynote, it's very simple. You go File, Export, QuickTime, If you have an older version, you might not have this submenu, but if you go to File Export, you'll see something similar to this. Choose QuickTime. I like to choose fixed timing so I can give myself a little buffer, maybe 5 to 10 seconds after the animation completes. Make sure full quality large is set and click Next. Save your file as animated logo or whatever you want to name it and click Export. This takes a while, but it's taking the time to tween all the different settings and do all the motion that you spent some time doing. I'll get back to you in just a sec. After you have exported the file from Keynote, you can either close out of Keynote. I like to keep it open just in case I see that there's something else that needs fixing. But you can pull up Adobe Premiere and you can select the project. I've already created just a blank project with some footage I took over the weekend. What I want to do at this point is go down to the media browser, and I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm going to find the logo that I made. So right here we have animated logo. I'll right click on that and I'll click import. If I go to my project bin, you'll see animated logo here along with some of the footage that I have. Now the simplest thing to do is you click and drag your animated logo in, and kind of from that moment, if you want, you can play it. This is now in Adobe Premiere Pro, and if that's all you want the solid black with the logo on it, you're done. You can trim the file by clicking and dragging if that's too long. If you want to speed it up, keep the whole animation but speed it up, you can use this rate stretch tool, click the edge, bring it over, and that'll speed up the spin and the animation as a whole. You can kind of do whatever you want. What I like to do is add a little extra something to it. And the way you do that is by clicking on the layer, clicking on the animation that you created, and going up to Effect Controls. At that point you click the arrow next to opacity and you go over to this blend mode drop down. If you know anything about Photoshop, you've seen these blend modes. There's darken, multiply, lighten, screen, overlay. All of these add different attributes to your particular layer and how they deal with the layers that are below them. I'll give you some examples. So if I were to choose darken, you see the stuff is coming through the center there, but there's still some areas that are black or covered. And going down the list, multiply, you see a little change there. Color dodge, you see the logo is overlaid and has some really high contrasty areas. So you look for an effect that you think looks nice, you think looks solid. This one looks pretty good, but one I found worked pretty well was lighten. So I'm going to choose lighten, and you see right there that this just looks really good. It looks really clean, it looks really crisp. We have the logo that we created on top, but then the video is down below. Where there's no video, you get black and all of a sudden it comes in. So let's this isn't rendered, so it'll play slowly, but you'll kind of see what it can look like. You can do that with any kind of Keynote file. If you find the right blend mode, you can get some very cool looking overlays, very cool looking transitions. I've used this trick for years now at summer camps, churches, all sorts of things, and people are always very impressed by the kind of videos and the quality transitions that I've come up with. And these things take me 4 or 5 minutes to go from Photoshop file to animated logo to Adobe Premiere overlay with a cool blend. This is something that anyone can do if you just have intermediate understanding. You can really impress people with your video abilities. So I hope this helps you out. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. If I just blew past something assuming you knew what I was talking about and I didn't, feel free to comment that too, and I'll try to explain it to you. I'll put my step-by-step notes in the video notes, and I hope you have a blessed day.